Grace and peace. As we embark upon our time of sharing, I would like for us to turn in our Bibles to the Gospel of Luke, the 19th chapter, and we will begin at the first verse. Reading out of the New Revised Standard Version, it reads, "He entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd, he could not, because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed the sycamore tree to see him, because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, 'Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today.' So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, 'He has gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner.' Zacchaeus stood there and looked and said to the Lord, 'Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much.' Then Jesus said to him, 'Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost.'" Today I want to focus on verse 8. Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I had defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much." Now, Zacchaeus is a short man. He is a tax collector, or in other words, a toll collector. He is hated because he participates in what they believe is the Roman oppression of the people. Now, tax collectors, as mentioned before in the previous message, tax collectors were very hated. They often defrauded people and charged people more money so that they could have a larger income for themselves. Now, Zacchaeus, again, like the man in the parable, he seemingly is not supposed to want to have anything to do with anything of God. However, Zacchaeus, though he is a sinner in the eyes of the community, he runs ahead because he's short and can't see Jesus. He runs ahead and he climbs the sycamore tree. While Jesus passes in his direction, Jesus looks up and sees Zacchaeus in the tree. Now, for me, I imagine Zacchaeus to be about 4'8", 4'9". All right. So something had to occur for Jesus to recognize Zacchaeus in the tree. Obviously, a grown man in a tree is peculiar. But what's even more peculiar is Zacchaeus' reply, his response to Jesus, once Jesus says that Jesus must come to Zacchaeus' house. Although Zacchaeus is excited, he also is very aware of what the crowd of people are saying about him. Again, Zacchaeus is being shamed, is being embarrassed, or tried to be shamed and embarrassed by the crowd of people. The crowd of people seemingly are very jealous because of Jesus going to seemingly a sinner's place and not to one of their places. So Zacchaeus says to Jesus, he says, look, half of my possessions I will give away to the poor. Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much. Zacchaeus is desperate. Seemingly, Zacchaeus is very, very desperate. He is willing and vows to give half of his possessions to the poor. Most of us, including myself, and most likely you too, we are not going to give half of our possessions away, period. Whether it's to the poor, whether it's to Goodwill or Salvation Army or some type of charity. We're not going to do it. Most likely we are not going to do it. But Zacchaeus is very intentional on making this vow. He wants to show how much he really wants to do right and where his heart is. And then he goes even further, as if that all in and of itself wasn't already almost impossible. He goes to say something that's even more impossible, that if he has defrauded anyone, that he would give them back what he has defrauded them 4 times the amount. Now, by the nature of being a toll collector, people are not stationary. So people are constantly moving around. And as a toll collector, you really don't know the people who you're collecting from. It's a job. So you go and you collect and you move on. But because of Zacchaeus' heart, because of Zacchaeus' desperation to want to do right, to be validated in the eyesight of not only God, but the community, to be welcomed back into the community as one of their own, Zacchaeus says, look, Lord, whatever it takes, even if it's almost impossible, I am willing to do it. And sisters and brothers, I believe that that is what God is looking for us to do. That is what God is looking for us to say. God, whatever it is that you want me to do, even if it seemingly is impossible, God, I'll do it. I'll do it so I can be accepted back in your good graces, and also to be accepted back into the community in which I live. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing with me. And I look forward to spending more time with you soon. Amen.